Hi, Victor. Thank you for your time today. Victor is a former consultant in Boston Consulting Group, currently MBA candidate and in Bain consultants. Um, we wanted to develop this research with a primary source such as yourself because we're interested in understanding more motivation and trust in high performance teams. We believe this topic is particularly relevant to consulting industry, where teamwork, trust, motivation is essential for success in these dynamic and high pressure environments. So I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Diego.
Of course. Let's show you the first question is, what is your motivation and your team's motivation in your job?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for asking. I think reflecting a little bit on what motivates me to be a consultant and on the day to day, it definitely is the impact that we have through our job to the world through different organizations. No? The world, the work, sorry, that we are doing in consulting, ultimately it's very tied to the biggest organizations in the world, and that impacts on our society. Sometimes directly through organizations that are working directly with the community, other times indirectly through investments or just like food, etc. No, but I think if you ask me to reflect, that would be the main thing that motivates me, and probably the thing that I've heard my peers and people in the consulting world is to impact society in a positive way. The other thing is you have this very interesting component of um, very diverse job in terms of industries, in terms of functions. So that's the other motivation, no? The aspect of learning. One of my personal biggest fears is to stop learning and just be comfortable with what I know. And consulting puts you in a situation where you always have to learn, always have to push yourself to be the best, and that motivates you to continue to give your best and help other companies achieve great things. So I would say that that's my motivation and my team's motivation.
That's amazing. It's trying to say in a short, abbreviated way, do good even if it's not immediately seen, right? Trying to claim a bigger purpose in what you're doing. And this change, it sounds like it's motivating, but maybe there's times where you are facing high pressure, high deadlines, or the client suddenly shifts some expectation they had. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, definitely the job comes with, as you said, with tight deadlines, high pressure. There are a couple of, I would say, three things that help you navigate that. The first one is that you always have the backup of the senior members of the firm and their trust. Maybe trust is the right word, right? So um, during these high pressure situations, they give you their trust and they also give you their support. So you are, while you have this pressure, you can always divide and split that pressure and work as a team to get things done. I think that's one big part of it. Like, you are never alone. You have your team directly, but also you have like this wide network of experts you can tap into also to get some help. And then the broader community in other parts of the world, in other countries that are also very willing to jump in a call and help you. So I think that that's one big part of it. It is more a tool, right? Then the second thing is like in consulting, there's this structure in how every week you reflect back on the work you've done, and then how can you continue to improve, especially on managing these difficult situations, no? And in these meetings, like the senior partners participate. You get to tell them like how are you feeling, and where there are red lights or hot topics, then as a team you discuss how can you improve those situations. So that's another really useful way in which you get the help that you need to navigate these difficult situations. The third one, and is not less important, is obviously the environment that surrounds you. Your family is one fundamental piece of it. Uh, all the every year when we have like the end of year party, and we reflect back on what are some of those elements that kept us going throughout the year, and that's one element that gets mentioned all the time, like the family and the support group that you have, personal support group that surrounds you, is also fundamental to keep you going.
Yeah, that's an element that's often not associated immediately to the workplace, but the community that allows you to develop in your work, along with mentors, as you said, is crucial to tackle this. Can you help me with an example of probably a challenging project where you or your team struggled, and what could you learn from that experience?
Yeah, so I think one of the projects. So let me tell you something. This is not the most challenging project, but I think it has a good mix of like challenges, teamwork, motivation, and impact. It was this project where we were working with different CEOs to understand what their concerns and biggest areas of opportunities, and then work together with them to help them navigate those complex situations. Similar to the question that you were asking right now, like how do you navigate? Well, we were a tool for those CEOs to navigate these difficult situations or hot topics, tight deadlines. There were two complexities in this project. The first complexity was that given it was a meeting with the CEO, maybe not all the team members could participate of that meeting. Mm-hmm. But having that context was very important because hearing their concerns was fundamental to then transform those concerns into actionable items on how they could address those problems. No? So that was a big problem. The other problem is many or probably most of the people in the team had less experience than those CEOs in the different situations they were facing. So to address the first one, the key word is communication, or that was the key word on how we solved that problem. Communication and structure. The way we solved it was we would be very intentional, and after every meeting with a CEO, we would schedule like a debrief meeting where we would go through the notes and with the interviewer get a real feeling or on what were the most pressing matters and where should our efforts go to. That made the job much easier, definitely. And that was one part. The other part was, as I told you, like how could you get tangible solutions and good recommendations, useful recommendations. And on that part, we would leverage the team, especially the broader consulting team across different countries. We would reach out to different clients in other countries, to senior partners in other countries that have had the experience of navigating these complex situations, hear from them, and then convert those meetings into tangible and useful recommendations for the CEO we were helping. So I think that was one of the most interesting projects that I participated into, and has a lot of the elements that we have talked throughout this conversation.
Yeah, and you introduced one in that last point, which is trust. You have the trust to reach out to clients and talk to them about challenges you're facing. I was thinking that consulting often requires collaboration among different stakeholders. How do you build trust among these teams that maybe could have conflicting interests or priorities, for example?
Just let me ask you a clarifying question. When you ask how do you build trust, do you mean mostly inwards, like within the consulting firm, or you mean also outwards with the client?
I mean both. I bet that in your experience, there are some key behaviors that builds trust with new clients. That'd be valuable, and how maybe you can measure how you maintain it over time. And also, how do you do it among your team or among the stakeholders that potentially have different priorities?
Yeah, I think from an outside perspective, or like looking outside, with how do you build trust with your clients, the one of the principles, let's say that way, of how we work, especially at Bain, is hearing them, hearing our clients. And we love the word we love to use is co-creating, because it is not just us saying them what to do. That does, maybe it was like that 20-30 years ago, but today the way it works is us creating together the solution. They have a lot of knowledge because they operate and work on it on a day-to-day basis, and then we bring knowledge from different countries, different situations, different companies that complement the knowledge that the client's team has. So I think that's one of the most important ones, like listen and work together. The second thing on how you build trust with clients, and it's more obvious, is through results. If you don't deliver, then there won't be trust. So how do you deliver? Through excellent work, good tangible recommendations, but not only recommendations, then working together with the client to implement their recommendation and doing those adjustments or refinements to ensure that what you're delivering is actually impactful. Even there are some projects that sometimes are sold like with fees at risk, it's called. And the way it works is like, if we, like, the consulting firm gets paid until X amount of savings are achieved, or whatever. So that's that's aligning the incentives of both groups, no? So that's for the part with the clients. Now you were also saying like how you align the priorities and how do you build trust inside, right? That was the question.
Yes.
Okay. So my answer is, there are so many people in Bain that, and they are always with this mindset of wanting to pay it forward, that you will always find someone. It is true, sometimes there will be some teams that are very tight with their deadlines, and it's very difficult to align on the priorities, but you will always find someone, given how big the firm is, that can spend 20-30 minutes to give you some advice. And also, let's be honest, like, you can always spend 20-30 minutes to help someone. you, even though you might have a very tight deadline, 20 minutes, 30 minutes is not that much throughout the day. That's one thing. And also, you should leverage that there's a lot of knowledge, but throughout all the ranks. Not only focus on speaking with X person, but looking across the complete team and saying, like, okay, I'm going to reach out to several people. Probably one of them will be free. That I think that answers the part of how can you align priorities. How you build trust within the team, I think it's very similar to what I told you about the clients, like paying close attention to the strengths and weaknesses of everyone, working together to deliver the work. And then what I love about consulting is the system works because they empower you, but at the same time, they have the structure to ensure that if the work that you deliver is not 100% because maybe you lack a little bit of experience, then the experience of a manager or a partner can complement it to get the work you are doing to that to meet the expectations of the client.
That's amazing. It seems the structure for some might be bureaucratic, but in this case works perfectly to polish the final result, and that reflects on results which build trust. But the key component to you and many peers is then listening, and it makes the sense in the world that when you feel heard and you can build rapport, you want to continue nurturing that relationship. It raises the question that relationships are or have been about people interacting, but now we have another component which is virtual, and there's probably a rise in remote consulting. Have you noticed any shifts in how trust is established and maintained? And if so, how have you adapted, for example?
Yeah, I think there was a shift. Definitely there was a shift. It was a positive shift because it allowed for more flexibility. So let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer of in-person connections. And I truly believe, like, if you wanna build deep connections, there should be an in-person component. And I think that's the good part of this time after COVID, that you can mix the best part of both worlds. You have some days where you go to the office, connect. Maybe it's Fridays because people are not traveling anymore and they are back at their home office. You connect with your team, with everyone, go out to get lunch or whatever, talk about non-important topics and also talk about important topics and connect that way, and then leverage the advantage of being of these like Zoom tools or video conferencing tools to be able to fit this crazy traveling life, and get the most out of it. No, it is challenging, and you can see it because of so many firms just pushing to go back to more days in the office. It is challenging. It is not that easy, especially because sometimes when you are together in an office space, you can just turn your head and ask a question, as opposed to when you are in your house and you have to set up a meeting, find time in the calendar. It's less natural, no? So I think it definitely is challenging. My personal preference, or my preference, is to work from the office, but I believe like there's a good way where you can mix and end up with good results. I don't know if I answered the question completely or there's a part that I missed.
No, I think you mentioned that mixture is the one that makes trust persist. The mixture of deepening it in person and establishing or maintain it in hybrid format, or so to speak, right?
Yeah. And I think obviously there's an underlying component of trust. You know, the people you are working with, they are high performers and they are every day doing their best to deliver a good job. So that's a given. You just, when you see them in person, you are more connecting on a personal level, but the trust was always there and is there through because of the filters that you pass to get to consulting, and then it gets maintained through the results that you see when you see someone do a presentation, when you see someone do an analysis. You just confirm like, okay, this person has my trust on that part, like on a more performance part.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Victor. I think I'm out of questions. I appreciate your time, your insights about the consulting, and hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Diego. See you soon.